You're listening to the Everyday Astrology Podcast. I'm Hilary Scott, your astrologer, and I'm here to bring you the current planetary conditions. So, welcome to this week. We have a huge looming Capricorn full moon coming up on the 13th. So we're like about 24 hours away from it while I'm talking about it. And it is like, if you look at it, you can even see how powerful and potent and clear it is. It's a really, really strong energy, very ambitious, very like Capricorn. It's the sea goat that represents the Capricorn. So it can be very like stodgy and government, institutional, follow the rules, limitations and bylaws and bureaucracy and all of that, but that's kind of like the lower octave of it. But it can also be the sea goat part of it, is where it swims in the depths and is ambitious in a spiritual way. So we do have probably both those things at play, and we're experiencing all that energy. And I've really come to understand that the planets are frequencies that allow for certain expressions of reality. And within those frequencies are all kinds of possibilities, like archetypes of energy. So it depends on what we're vibrating to, what we call into reality. And we all have the frequencies that were kind of imprinted on us when we took our first breath. So those are the frequencies that we can work within and are affected by the most, obviously. But we do feel all of the frequencies that are going on with the planetary connections and alignments. And if we can just stand in our hearts and in our power, then we can call into manifestation much more specifically what we want. And so with the Capricorn energy, it is very ambitious, and there's so much going on around the Capricorn full moon. It will be conjoined with Pluto in the last degrees of Capricorn, and it's powerful. Like Pluto is just it's so funny because there's arguments about whether it's a planet or not a planet. But astrologically, when they started to look at Pluto and how we respond, or events that coincide, or personality traits that relate to it, it's very specific and very powerful. And there is like a depth perception that goes on with Pluto energy that is just so astute and acute and able to see and witness and be with the most life-changing moments. Like Pluto is involved with birth, and it's also involved with death. And in those times of life, there's this exquisite presence that happens, and that like we're needed to kind of witness these magical transitional moments. And Pluto is very much about transition. So it doesn't have to be literally death and birth. It can be like death and rebirth of situations or relationships or attitudes, perceptions. Oftentimes, Pluto will come in and give you an awareness that alters your perception. And just that altering of perception opens up a whole new frequency timeline for you to create from, instead of being stuck in sort of the pre-programmed stuff that we get from our family lines and from the societies we've grown up in and from the news we ingest. So Pluto can help us bust out of the rut and pull out the roots. So that is conjoined with this full moon in Capricorn. That's like a big deal. We've also got the moon opposite Mercury. Of course, it's opposite the sun too. The sun and Mercury are close together. Mercury will be also sextiling Uranus. So there's this very kind of system busting way showing mental energy, like communicative energy that we can tap into, where we can suddenly think differently and be different and go in a different direction, or bust out of the chains of maybe the thinking that held us back, because Uranus is always about kind of like pushing the limits and the fringe and sort of the way shower, heading to the future and showing us what's possible. So that energy is there too. And with it connected with Mercury, it can bring us information or thoughts or communications that will do this and help us bust out of any kind of rut. We also got Neptune in a complementing energy that will maybe add a little bit of sprinkle of magic or coincidence or a connection that makes us understand that we're all connected, we're all one. It's a very glamorous, it is connected to the movie industry. It can be, Neptune can represent like anything that is an illusion, that we don't have all the pieces. Nothing is as it seems. But in this situation, it's in a more, connecting to the moon, it's in a more supportive energy. But then later on in the day, it goes into a square with Venus. So what we value and the sort of our ability to create illusion or disillusion are that, I mean, it could be an energy of disillusionment where we were going along thinking everything was just fine, and wabam, we're like, oh my God, I didn't even realize that. I had no idea that was what the truth of the situation was, or that is what we're going to have to do to like change things. So it can be kind of a shocker, like, and just realizing that you didn't have all the pieces, you didn't have all the information. And then now there's this confusion or overwhelm, or that, like, the overwhelm is also ruled by Neptune. So there could be a situation that's overwhelming you, or maybe what you value is causing you to feel overwhelmed in some way. Like you've got to act in a way to maintain this value that is stressing out other parts of your personality. So, I mean, there's just so many ways that these frequencies can come together in each of us individuals, but there are energetic imprints and archetypes that we can pull from to kind of understand what the possibilities are. But the more I know and the more I sit with and the more I observe the astrology, the more I realize that we are able to flip the switch and make difficult aspects positive. And many times the difficult aspects are positive. So we don't ever really need to be in like a doomsday state of mind with any of the aspects that we're looking at. And there's just this constant, if we look to the like sky above and all the wandering stars, which are the planets, they are predictable and they're providing like a frequency of energy for us to work with. Almost like, in a way, the energies are kind of like our paintbrush or our clay or our ink or our whatever we use to create art. That's what the frequencies are. And our lives are the art that we're creating. So be creative. Do things that are, challenging to you. Because life really does begin, and especially with this Capricorn energy, like we need to be ambitious, and then if we want to manifest our ambitions, we're going to have to be disciplined. And the discipline can kind of be like drudgery, and sometimes drudgery is what it's going to take to get you what you want while you're on your way there. So know that at least if we do need to do something that's going to take a lot of energy and a lot of our efforting, then we can at least call it into being on the Capricorn moon, because that energy will help us go the distance. It's that Saturnian stoic energy that it really is the discipline. Like fun starts with fundamentals, and you've got to learn how to write or how to read before you can really write, and that takes discipline. So it's that kind of energy that we're dealing with right now. It's very potent. It is exciting and like very what is the word? Like fertile. It's fertile for creation, and for also not just creation, but like releasing things that are stagnant or in our way or rigid or blocking us up in some way. We can release that and overcome or dissolve with this Neptunian energy connected these things that are in our way. We just got to be willing to do the work and be willing to go deep into whatever comes up so that we can process it, and then it will fertilize what we're trying to grow rather than just blocking everything up with stagnant roots. It's just not good for us. So I hope that you're able to tap into this energy and use it to the best of your ability, and like make sure you write down what you're creating and what you choose to create, what you want to create. It's pretty powerful times we're in. That definitely isn't changing anytime soon. October is definitely a month to watch for, when things will even kind of heat up more. Use it to find what you love and what you want to create in the world, and use it just to be able to think clearly and think ahead and get rid of anything that's blocking you. It's very potent energy. It's very powerful. So may you be able to tap into the highest frequency to make and create the most beautiful life for yourself and those you love. Many blessings.